All right, everybody. You asked for a new intro video. We have our new intro video updated with the best of 2023, and of course, that Josh Allen clip there is from last week. That's from week one when he was uh, hurdling the Arizona Cardinals for a touchdown. Week two now ready. Tommy Burch joining me from Springfield, Massachusetts. Ben O'Connell, he's in Chicago, Illinois. I'm Kyle Garlett in Denver, Colorado. We are the trio that bring you NFL points, picks, and props. Thank you for joining us. Good for you for joining us because we are going to help you get through all of the NFL betting for week two. Now, we're recording this on Thursday while the Bills-Dolphins game is going on, so we're not going to talk about that other than to say that our prayers are with Tua. He did look like he took a pretty big shot. The fear is obviously another concussion because of his history. We were also talking about the irony of the fact that it was Damar Hamlin who was the defensive player on the play. The Dolphins right now getting their asses handed them to by the Buffalo Bills. Bills going to 2-0, Dolphins dropping to 1-1. But that's old news because you can't bet on that anymore. We're going to talk about what we can bet on, but let's talk about week one. So Ben, I'm looking here. You hit the Dallas Cowboys game. Good job.
Yes, sir.
You hit the Los Angeles Chargers game. Good job.
I did, in fact, do that. Yes, I did.
But unfortunately, and when you hit your prop, that big 525 payday with Stephon Diggs and Jonathan Taylor. Nice job. Tommy, you were 3-1-1 with your 5 picks. And Isaiah Pacheco, 25 plus receiving yards, and Justin Watson, 25 plus receiving yards, plus 600 for the W there.
What?
Well done.
Hell yeah, brother.
We're not.
I'm sorry. Stone Cold Steve Austin's on my mind right now. All these cold brews after winning so much last week.
Tommy, you also hit your money line bet at $120 won on the Dallas Cowboys. Ben, you hit your money line. It was minus 110 on Houston, so you're up $90 and 91 cents. We're gonna have you bet something to get. I hate that 91 cent. Just dang there. I didn't do as well. I missed on my my rushing prop. I had 2 of my 3 guys go over, but Travis Etienne did not do so well. Although, hey, the Jacksonville Jaguars actually didn't look so bad. Maybe it's because the Dolphins aren't very good. Who knows? There were some rookie performances that were not great. In fact, not really any of them were great. Ben, I know you've been a huge fan of Caleb Williams and Bears mania. And he got that whole – he's the first number 1 overall draft pick to win his opening game in 22 years. He didn't do jack. He was along for the ride. He sucked.
Well, and to my credit, I want to apologize to Tommy Burch because I really didn't believe that Will Levis could ever throw a game winner. Yet there he was doing it last Sunday. I just didn't expect it to be for the other team. You know what I mean? That's on me, dude. That's on me.
Well, we actually have the video here. Let's go ahead and relive Will Levis, his big moment.
Please.
Oh, that's great.
Oh. And now he just cries to the heavens.
And then, the play's still going on. The play's happening, and he's just sitting there on his knees with his hands on his head. Will, and Tommy, we know that all the state of Connecticut all gets together and has coffee together on Wednesday. So I know that you know him, but
personally,
I mean, you've been very honest about your love of him, if that's a strong word to use.
I don't know. I think strong isn't the word I'd use. I think incorrect. Or false.
Okay. That could be that I'm making that up. Yeah. So I was contrasting the Will Levis throw with what is the Anthony Richardson throw. And I don't know if you guys saw the overhead view of this. Did you see the overhead view of this?
Yeah.
Let's watch this again.
Cool.
This is unreal. Cool. So he slips, can't step into this ball. He's at his 32-yard line. And it just keeps going and going and going all the way down to the Houston 2 is where it's
Jeez.
That is unbelievable.
You know,
There's like maybe
Joe
2 people on
Flacco.
earth who can make that throw.
Joe Flacco on the sideline, he said to Anthony, he's like, might be the best throw I've ever seen in a game ever.
It
And if
was
Joe
unreal.
Flacco's saying that, the king of deep balls,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
so
so
the-
glad to have him on fantasy. Like, genuinely, as a fantasy owner, that was maybe the highlight of my Sunday. That was fantastic. What are we talking
Yeah,
about?
it was amazing. The rest of the rookies, Jaden Daniels ran for a couple touchdowns, but not too spectacular. Bo Nix averaged about 1.6 yards per attempt, so not great.
He was also the fastest non-wide receiver in the
Well,
NFL.
and that actually brings up what I wanted to talk about with Marvin Harrison. So Marvin Harrison, a total no-show. He was the can't miss wide receiver prospect. And I don't know if you guys saw this. Marvin Harrison's top speed when running his routes was 16 miles an hour. Bo Nix hit 20 miles an hour during a scramble. So why is it that Bo Nix is significantly faster than Marvin Harrison Jr. in week 1? Now, I'm not saying Marvin's going to be a bust, but my God, what's happening that he was that slow? I mean, he was on the field for a lot of the game.
As a Broncos fan, I do want to give Marvin some come a little slack because I think people are failing to mention that Bo was running purely because of the adrenaline due to the fact he thought he was gonna die. He had no idea what was going on there Sunday, dude. That was insane. He was running for his life.
Yeah.
The only time
Go
we're
ahead,
gonna see Marv running that fast is when he's running away from that Fanatics lawsuit. So
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
expect him to see 20 miles an hour this season until you see him running away from the courthouse.
Well, anyway, the rookies did not impress, but a couple of great performances. And actually, our quiz. If you're new to the show, we always do a quiz so that when we get to the later in the show, when we choose our favorites, our top dogs, and our easy moneyline picks, the person who wins the quiz gets to choose first. Ben, you won our quiz last week, so you're going to get to actually start our quiz today. But this week's quiz is going to be about week 1. So all of the questions and answers today are about week 1, okay? So question 1 to you, Ben. Who led the NFL in passing yards after the first week of the season? Which quarterback led the NFL in passing yards after week 1?
Was it Dak Prescott?
It was not Dak Prescott. Tommy, can you steal this?
Was it Baker Mayfield?
It was not Baker Mayfield. It was Mr. Tua, who is not going to be leading the league anytime soon.
Oh my
Tua
goodness.
led the league with he had
Jesus
338
Christ.
passing yards.
That's so
week
fresh. Oh my gosh.
All right. Okay. Tommy, this question is to you. Okay. Who threw the most touchdown passes in week 1?
That is Baker Mayfield.
That is indeed Baker Mayfield. Correct. You have a point. All right, Ben. 7 players rushed for more than 100 yards in week 1. Name 4 of them. 4 of the 7 who went over 100 yards.
4 of the 7 that went over 100 yards.
And I know you watched personally. You watched a couple of these guys do it.
God
maybe more.
It.
Maybe. I bet you saw 4 of these guys.
Was one of them Kenneth Walker?
One of them was indeed Kenneth Walker. Yes, you are correct. You got to watch Kenneth Walker run for 100 yards against the Denver Broncos.
Did Jordan Mason pick up 100?
Jordan Mason also got 100 yards. You have seen you've got 2. He was got 147, I believe. You got 2 of them now.
Shoot.
I know you saw a couple of these other ones. I know you did.
Why am I just blanking on half of these games, dude? Did Jahmyr Gibbs?
Jahmyr Gibbs did not run for 100 yards. No. Are we passing here?
Did Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels did not run.
Yeah, I'm passing then. I have no clue.
Tommy, can you name take 2 of the other 5?
Yes, the first being that Thursday Night Football, Saquon Barkley going absolutely nuts.
That was Friday, but yeah, Saquon Barkley went for 109.
Oh, sorry, Friday night. Forgot Brazil. My bad. And my favorite rushing performance of the week, J.K. Dobbins. That's finishing
J.K.
out
Dobbins had
the board there.
135. The rest of the group, Joe Mixon also went over 100 yards. Lamar Jackson went over 100 yards. And Ramondre Stevenson went over 100 yards. Those were our 7 players who went over 100 yards. So, Tommy, you now have 2 points to Ben's 0. And this next question is to you. Tommy, 3 players rushed for multiple touchdowns, but only one was a running back. That was Saquon Barkley. Who were the other 2 players to rush for 2 touchdowns?
The only 2 players to rush for 2 touchdowns. And neither of them are running backs.
Neither of them are running backs.
Is Jaden Daniels one of them?
Jaden Daniels is indeed one of them.
And who ran for 2 touchdowns? Ran for 2 touchdowns. That is not a running back.
Not a running back.
But I'm pretty sure that there is only one wide receiver, like maximum one wide receiver rushing touchdown. I think it's another quarterback. Was it Josh Allen?
It was indeed Josh Allen. Josh Allen ran for 2 touchdowns and threw for 1. Okay,
you use so much logic. Oh my God.
Tommy now has 3 points.
Big brain over here, you know.
Ben, in the NFC, 4 wide receivers went over 100 yards receiving. A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Jaden Reed, and this third-year player who went over 100 yards for the first time in his career. In his 3rd year, was a first-round draft pick, going over 100 yards for the first time in his career. NFC team.
Oh, that ruined my answer. NFC.
Dude, I don't even know how long guys have been in the league at this point. What are we talking about? 3rd-year player.
I'm giving you a sense that he's not an old guy. He's not a rookie.
Kyle, when I say this name, and Tommy, when I say this name, this dude's probably old and has probably gone over 100 multiple times. But I'm just going to say it, and I'm prepared to be completely wrong, but let's just not laugh too hard when I say DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf is not the answer, and he's not that much old. He's probably, in his 4th or 5th year, maybe?
All right. At least I think
age-wise,
that's all I care.
I think he's had a few more than 100-yard games
I know, dude. I know.
Yeah, it was not DK Metcalf.
You guys know numbers are not my strong suit.
Tommy, do you know who this player was?
If I were to take a wild guess,
it can be as wild as you want.
Would it be Jameson Williams?
It was indeed Jameson Williams.
I thought he was a 2nd year. I wasn't sure.
I was taking a guess. His 1st year, he barely played at all because of the injury. And then he had the injury his 1st year. 2nd year, he had the suspension. This is his 3rd year.
So that's why I thought he was a rookie. All right, that makes sense. See, all these things make sense.
His first
I'm going to be honest, Ben. That was a shot in the dark on my end. I just knew he had 100 yards, and I knew he was young. I heard NFC, and I just, went for it.
You know more than me, Tommy. It's fine.
Tommy, you've won the quiz. You'll get to go first. But our last question here is to you, Tommy. 3 players caught multiple touchdown passes in week 1. Name 2 of them.
Was Saquon one of them?
Saquon was not. He ran for 2 and
caught
one.
There's my mix-up there. So
you watched for sure one of these guys do it. And maybe you watched the other one or one of the other 2. Both of these were games we were excited about. Both of these were very good. Or again, the other one is fine.
Well, I'm only going to get one of them, but I know for a fact. Wait, we were excited about both of them. That's giving me a hint here. One of them's Allen Lazard. I know that.
Allen Lazard. You watched him do it against the 49ers.
Yeah, for not much of a dent in that league.
Yeah.
And was the other one the Houston game? But it wasn't Houston, right? It was. Okay, now you're scaring me.
Might have been Houston.
Might have been Houston.
Might have been.
Who was it on Houston? Was it Nico Collins?
It was not. Ben O'Connell had
New to Houston.
Stephon Diggs caught 2
Oh, he
touchdown
had
passes.
2. I completely forgot.
Yes, and the other player who did it was Mike Evans with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are obviously nowhere close to needing a tiebreaker, but our tiebreaker was going to be how many sacks were there in the 16 games in week 1? There were a total of 77 sacks recorded in the 16 games. All right. So Tommy, that means you are going to go first. Let me get down here to where I've got all of our good stuff. And we're going to start with you in the big box. And your first game there, Mr. Burch, is, it's not exactly a barn burner. We'll get to see if Marvin Harrison can bounce back in week 2.
Yeah, so I think honestly last week the Arizona keeping it close with the Bills. I mean, keeping it close. I know it was a close game towards the end. I think it was a bit of a fluke. They let up a lot of points they shouldn't have let up. The Cardinals didn't look really good and really good in any particular way. The Rams had a very good game against the Lions, and the Lions are going to be a contender this year, and the Rams are consistently top level. The fact that I understand, Cardinals home team advantage, second week, but the Rams are, I think, on another level of play than the Cardinals, and seeing them as underdogs is just, it's I'm chomping at this opportunity, guys. I'm drooling here. I just love +1 on the Rams against the Cardinals. This is definitely, I think, in all 3 of our territory, I would assume, for our dog of the week. But I'm going to rock with the Rams here +1.
Yeah, I mean the Rams took the Lions to overtime, very nearly won that game. I love Sean McVay is really one of the top 5 coaches in the league. He figures out how to get guys open. Cooper Kupp, right back to being the Cooper Kupp who was all world. They're going to miss Puka, obviously, and the Cardinals didn't look so. I mean, the Cardinals got off to a really fast start against the Bills. They really should have won that game as opposed to letting it get away from them. I like the way that James Conner played in that game, but there was a few things about Kyler Murray that were to be desired. Obviously, they're still trying to get their wide receivers into the game. It's still going to take them a while, I think, before Harrison and Murray get on the same page. So I like the Rams.
Dorsch being your leading receiver is
Yeah,
sad.
It's not.
Should not happen.
Targeting more than anybody else.
And the other thing too, I mean, is the fact that Kyler doesn't see that it's his responsibility to get Marvin the ball, which I think is an insane way to think of. I mean, like, to a certain extent, yeah, Gann needs to get better at drawing up plays. Maybe find some, sweeps or something to get him just touches early that aren't reliant on a route. But I mean, you're going to have to find a way to work him into the game plan as the coach, because Kyler doesn't think that he needs to do anything to get him some love. So I think that that's just a growing pain right now in that offense. They haven't figured out how to mesh, how to gel. I don't think they are anywhere close to figuring out their identity. I think the Rams are much closer to that because they got McVay at the helm, and McVay's always going to be able to lead you in the right direction. I'm with y'all. I like the Rams here.
And to be honest, I really do think, I hate that Kyler said that. That is the worst possible thing for you to say in this situation, is that it's not your problem, basically. But to an extent, he's kind of right in some capacity, because play calling and where they put him in that level of read, he's like 3rd or 4th read in the play calling. And as much as, yeah, you need to be able to get through your progressions a lot quicker, and just and your first read is going to change depending on how you read the defense. And we all know Kyler is obviously an expert at reading defenses, as we can clearly tell by his tendency to break out of the pocket. But Marvin should be open and you should get it to him. But at the same time, the play calling needs to be better, where you have Marvin on that first or second read, because when you get him the ball, he's going to make something special happen. And he's going to get more separation than anybody else in that receiver room. So why not put him as the second read? Because you look at that second read, he has 5 yards of separation. It's it's going to make your game plan better. And I hope that they change that this week.
But if he's only running 16 miles an hour, he's not getting that kind of separation. So you see him and you see the defensive back is jogging to stay with him, and just like, I got to go to my next guy. So yeah, I Murray's not wrong that it's not his job, but you're the leader of the offense. Go ahead and say, yeah, my job is to make sure our playmakers have the football in their hands, and leave it at that. Don't shirk the responsibility. I don't like to see that from a starting quarterback.
It was almost immature to an extent.
Well, I also think too that there is a difference, or you have to know how to run the offense by the game plan. I think it's also important to know what your offense needs, what your guys in the locker room need. Yeah, maybe it's not ideal for the game plan for us to turn this look here, but knowing that you got to get the guy active in the game plan early to keep him invested in what's going on, I think that is equally as valuable as, maybe making the quote unquote correct read all 100% of the time. At the end of the day, I completely agree with y'all. It's up to Gannon to have better calls, to draw up a better game plan to get, him involved early. But at the same time, Kyler needs to know what's gonna get the offense to respond to him and his leadership. And until he does so, Arizona's just gonna be struggling.
Okay, so that was 15 minutes on the Arizona Cardinals. We are going to go a little faster with the rest of these teams. San Francisco 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings. It's the Sam Darnold revenge game. He should be starting for the 49ers. He got unceremoniously booted, and now Sam Darnold seeking revenge against the 49ers.
Kyle, I think that your football knowledge is degrading as time passes. We'll find you like a story. I'll drive you to your primary care physician. Don't worry. We'll get something figured out for you. But the 49ers at -6 versus the Vikings. This is almost feels like a guarantee to me. The Vikings, they played okay. They played pretty well. But when you win by over 20 points and your starting quarterback has just over 200 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, that's fine. I do assume that he will have more passing yards this game because he's going to be in more of a position where he needs to pass the ball. I think he's going to have over 200 yards passing. Do I think that he's going to have more turnovers than touchdowns? Yes. And do I think the 49ers are going to wipe the floor with this team? Absolutely. 49ers looked really good last week. Even though Brock didn't throw a touchdown, he was still slinging it. He was zipping it across the field. And with Ayuk getting back into the fold, Niners -6 seems pretty nice.
I think, look, I'm not suggesting that I think the Vikings are going to win. I think you're discounting Aaron Jones. I mean, part of the reason why the Vikings didn't throw the football was because Aaron Jones had a great game. They ran the ball well, and they got up early, so there was no reason to run the football. And you had Daniel Jones, who was god awful. So they, again, no reason to throw the football when you're going against Daniel Jones. I think the Vikings are not nearly as bad as you think they are. I think this will be a close game. I think the 49ers will win, and 6 point. I mean, we saw with the Chiefs and the Ravens last week. It was a 7-point game, but it was a 1 or 2 play game. This is going to be a close game, but the 49ers could still easily cover by winning by a touchdown. But I think that Minnesota will. I don't think the season's not lost for Minnesota by any means. I liked the way they looked last week. Yeah, the Giants were horrible, but they're at home. It's a loud place, and I think that it's going to be a good game. 49ers will ultimately win just because they have the better team. I don't think that they're going to miss Christian McCaffrey again. And I'm going to go with the 49ers, but don't give Sam Darnold's not a bad quarterback.
I agree. I love him. Yeah. I just think that him against the 49ers is a whole different story. The only reason I'm giving the Vikings such a bad rap during this spew session I've been giving here is because they're playing against the best defense in the league.
Well, that's yet to be determined. I think the best defense in the league is playing in Denver this week, but we'll talk about them when
Oh
we get
my
there.
goodness! I'll tell you what. The thing about the Minnesota Vikings, that I think, that makes it an interesting game here is just the fact that we really don't know how good they are, because the test last week was not so much of a test. It was the New York Giants. You know what I mean? So it's a lot like in college football, where in the first week you play, the big schools are playing the small schools. That's what it feels like. Yeah, Minnesota won that game. They were supposed to win that game, and I'm glad that they did so with flying colors. This is a real test for them. I'm really excited to see it. Until proven otherwise, I'm gonna have to roll with the Niners. I think that Minnesota needs to just show me a little bit more. I'm right there with Kyle. I think that this could go Minnesota's way, as far as the spread is concerned. However, God, San Fran just looked really, really good last week.
They looked really good last week, but they kicked 6 field goals. You've got to start scoring some touchdowns if you're going to win in the National Football League. You can't. Jake Moody can't be your high scorer every week.
I agree, but
Jake
I
Moody
mean,
MVP.
I mean, but at least they're finding points. I mean, like I said, Minnesota obviously found the end zone plenty. It was just, you
Yeah.
know, I'm excited for this one though, genuinely.
All right. Well, I'm excited for this one because it is the Philadelphia Eagles who looked like gangbusters on Friday. Saquon Barkley looks like the offseason acquisition of the year. We all thought the Falcons were going to be much better than they looked last week. Was it because the Steelers are so good on defense, or are the Falcons in trouble? Tommy Burch.
I do not think the Falcons are in trouble per se. This is the situation where I say it's one or two plays, but it's a 7 point game. I think the Falcons are going to keep up. Kirk is not prone to having two bad games in a row. That's not in his repertoire. But the Eagles looked really good, and they played really well on a pretty awful field in pretty tough conditions. I think at home in a stadium they know, with the fans they know and love that everybody else hates, they are going to play spectacularly. And I think there's not going to be much error on their end of the field. The Falcons are just going to have to be as perfect as possible to keep track and to catch up. That's why I'm rocking with the Eagles -6.5 here. If it was 7.5, might be a little more difficult, but I like this number.
No, I think I think the Eagles are going to cover the spread. I agree with you there. I think this is going to be a much higher scoring game than we saw from the Falcons in Week 1. And I love seeing Kyle Pitts get involved, but then after he scored his touchdown, I mean, other than that, he was really kind of a no-show. Drake London not really used much. That whole, I mean, part of it was T.J. Watt was just wrecking that offensive line all game long. And so maybe the Falcons, if they get away from that, we can see a little bit more out of their offense. Like I said, Kirk is not prone for long stretches of being bad. So this is going to be a fun game, I think. But ultimately, at home, AJ Brown and Saquon Barkley are going to be they're the two best playmakers on the field for either team. And so I think that in the end, we'll win it for them.
I'm excited for the Philly fans, dude. Are you kidding? They had to spend a week of sports, not out there just ravaging the city and scaring whatever tourists didn't know what was going on that week. Are you kidding me? Come on now, dude. They're gonna be rowdy. They love the team right now, and this is a good Eagles team to get behind. I think the home field advantage is gonna be really good for the Eagles this week. They should easily cover 6.5. I like it.
All right, Mr. Will Levis gets a chance for redemption against Aaron Rodgers, who uh, didn't look bad. He had some good passes last week, but the Jets themselves didn't look very good. Are they going to look better in Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean Tennessee sucks. Just to put it simply, you can't let what it was 2 defensive touchdowns or something like that. What was
And a punt. There was a punt. There was special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, whoever had Chicago's defense was loving it last week in fantasy.
Yeah.
But the Jets, I'm not saying the Jets are spectacular. They have talent on their roster, which is something Tennessee can't say. And despite the coaching woes, I don't think it's much better on the other end in Tennessee. So at this point, it's just star power against star power, and that's just most of the New York Jets starting lineup versus what washed DeAndre Hopkins, I'm rocking with the Jets here. -3.5 seems easy to me.
I mean, Tennessee was the better team last week. Tennessee should have won that game, but being better than the Bears, I think, is a pretty low bar. And I don't think that they're going to be able to handle the Jets. The Jets, I still think the Jets are a playoff team, and I think that they go into Tennessee. And I would love it if the spread was 2.5, but I'm still going to rock it at 3.5 because I think the Jets will win this by at least a touchdown.
Listen, I'm with on the Jets with you guys, but God, Aaron Rodgers sucked last week, dude. He looked so bad, man. Like what this guy. Did anyone have Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning last year's season equivalent on their bingo card for this one? Because I could see that, dude. Just hand it off, and golly, some of those were off target. Anyway, yeah, I'm rocking the Jets with y'all, but not because of the quarterback play.
All
Aaron
right.
Rodgers
Oh,
resembles Jay Cutler like this season. Just the way, just that one game, it was very, you throw the ball really hard and you throw it really far. But he's gonna get it into Alan Lazard's hands once, but it's gonna go right off the defense the most majority of the other times.
I'm giving Rodgers more than a week to before we start judging. According to you, Tommy, he was playing the best defense in the NFL, so
Yes, I agree.
he shouldn't be judged because there were a couple times where he made some really good Roger-esque throws where it was just like
I
right
agree.
there. There were you could
There's
still
one on the
see flash.
sideline, like a quick step throw to the sideline that was just
Yeah,
it was a rocket. That thing was awesome.
there were a couple times where he looked like Aaron Rodgers. There were some other times where he did not, but for sure. All right, I think I know where this one's going. Caleb Williams, he is not going to repeat CJ Stroud's rookie season. How about that for a hot take?
Yeah, it's the hottest take. Wow, he looked awful last week. Just so bad. The fact that he's the number one guy and he's supposed to be like the LeBron James prospect of quarterbacks over the past like decade here, and he threw for what 98 yards. That's just
Yeah,
horrendous.
yeah.
I don't even know what to say at this point. You won a game because of Will Levis. Like you're the best quarterback in that game for your team was Will Levis, and you drafted first overall this year. Give me Houston by a million.
Yeah, at home, I mean that offense again, they have so many ways they can beat you. The Bears should have lost. The Bears should be licking their wounds after an 0-1 start to the Tennessee Titans, and this should be a 10 to 11 point spread. Instead, the Texans only a touchdown. I just can't imagine the Bears keep this close because they there's such a contrast between the quarterback in Houston who feels so comfortable back there in the pocket. And you've got Caleb Williams, who doesn't look like he understands how to read an NFL defense. He thinks, I mean, he is just Mr. I'm going to make something happen as opposed to letting the play work for him. And it's going to get ugly.
That was my biggest thing on him during the draft process. I didn't understand. I feel like that kid from the Moneyball movie where he's like, I would have drafted you in the ninth, no signing bonus. That's how I felt this offseason. Caleb Williams, he has arm talent, but I think that Zach Wilson was a better prospect than this guy. And Zach Wilson, I didn't have that much high hopes on either. I would have gone Caleb Williams, third round, like between second and third day. And this is going to come back to bite me in like 2 years when Caleb Williams is a Pro Bowler. But I'm just saying he wasn't that good in college. He's rolling out of the pocket. He has no pocket integrity. He makes plays based off of pure talent, and he's mediocre at reading defenses. He's not an NFL style quarterback. It's the same thing that happened with Johnny Manziel, with Tim Tebow, all those guys. Not an attitude problem. It's just a skill level.
Mm, I think part of it is an attitude problem. I think that if you think that you should be a freaking owner of a team before you play a snap of football in the NFL, yeah, I think you're a little crazy if you think that that should be a contract stipulation. I also think that one of the biggest issues is Chicago Bear fans in general. If the Chicago Bears fans really wanted to help their team, they would sell all the merch, burn all the gear, and stop buying tickets. Okay? Because
Jesus Christ.
genuinely, what are you doing? You were going to riot if they didn't pick Caleb, even though there were red flags galore, and you would have been pissed off at what other quarterback shows up. And it doesn't matter who comes to town, okay? You can hate the pick the night of the draft. The second they come into town, you think they're Christ walking across Lake Michigan. What are you doing? Mitchell Trubisky goes to the Pro Bowl, and you think that he's the savior of this city? Okay, there's still delusion. There's still people out here thinking that Justin Fields was somehow going to raise this city out of the ashes. What are we talking about? Caleb Williams is just the next of what will continue to be a lineage of horrific quarterback play in the Windy City. What do Bear fans have to gain but their own sanity by selling their merch and tickets? Come on now, Chicago Bears. They're just so bad. We've spent too much time talking about them, but my God, Houston by 14, please.
Don't disrespect Mitchell Trubisky. That's my MVP. Okay.
Yeah. So Caleb Williams was supposed to be the first Bears quarterback to ever hit 4,000 yards. He's on pace for like 1,500 right now. So
He threw for 93.
he's
threw
got
for
some
93.
work. He's got some work ahead of him. Yeah. It wasn't a good performance. We'll go with that. All right.
Still the
Thank you.
favorite to win Rookie of the Year.
He is the favorite. Tommy, thanks very much. Ben, we're going to now turn it over to you and your 5 games for us. Starting off with those New York Football Giants at the Washington Commanders.
I know I just got heated about just over the Bears. I'm going to try and just temper my expectations here for this New York Giants team, because I was already mean to them earlier, but I have to just say a little bit more. God, they're horrible. And why did you choose such ugly uniforms to lose in week 1? I get it. You did not need to throw it back, dude. This is not going to be like the old days. Anyway, the Commanders, let's just say all the rookies had a rough time week 1. I thought Jane Daniels had some moments. He had a couple like plays where I was like, hey, dude, this is exciting. And at the end of the day, I think that the Commanders are, they're going to be a struggling team. They're going to be scrappy, but I don't think that they're just flat out like hopeless like the New York Giants. Therefore, in a game where the spread is 1 point, I'm going with Washington on this one, and I expect Jane to feel much more comfortable out there. You get the day 1 jitters out. You know what to expect. We're playing football again, and you get that easy game like I was talking about for the Minnesota Vikings. You get an easier test in the New York Giants, which is going to be a much easier opponent. So yeah, I like the Commanders here to find the win here.
Yeah, well, yeah, Malik Neighbors just ended up on the injury report this week for the Giants. Boy, the fans in New York just hammered Daniel Jones all game long. They were burning his jerseys after the game, and it's they're already they've turned on this team within like 5 minutes of the season. Giants are a bad football team. Brian Daboll, I think, this guy was coach of the year 2 years ago. He's going to be the first one fired this year. Well, unless it's the race in New York. It's either Saleh or Daboll are going to be the first ones to go. And yeah, like you said, Daniels got his feet wet. Now he's going to be at home. He's feeling a little bit better about his place. He's got guys around him, which the Giants don't have. And speaking of guys around him, you've got your prop here, Brian Robinson, getting the touchdown.
Oh yeah,
plus 155. He scored last week for the Commanders. And this is, again, we just saw the kind of game that Aaron Jones had against the Giants. He found the end zone a couple times. So we're going to have that kind of game for Brian Robinson as well. I can see that happening. I can see Brian Robinson finding the end zone more than once. So
I,
plus 155 feels like a pretty good deal.
And what I like about it too is, I mean, he found it off of 12 touches and only getting 40 yards. You know what I mean? Like, this is a
Yeah.
dude that they're willing to lean on once you get into the red zone. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily, you know, using up all the juice in the tank, getting down to the red zone. You know, like they feel comfortable letting the rookie quarterback cook a little bit. I mean, like you look at his numbers too; they aren't horrific for the first game in the NFL.
Yeah.
17 for 24, 184 in the air, two TDs on the ground, 88 yards on 16 carries. It's honestly not the worst. Like there is a lot worse, debuts. We'll talk about my dude
Yeah, we'll
later,
get to
but
Bo Nix. Yeah, we'll get to
yeah,
Bo Nix.
we'll get to him later. But yeah, no, I have some hope, and I'm excited for this guy to see how he develops throughout the season.
Tommy, you obviously don't care for this as a prop bet, as a Austin Eckler owner.
Yes, the guy
yeah.
that I drafted because I thought he'd be a decent running back out of the backfield. But I mean, I would think that he would be a decent option this week as like a flex possible guy if you have somebody that's hurt because they're playing the New York Giants. I think that you can probably bank on picking anybody that's playing against the New York Giants. It's like that's like when Alabama plays like Northwestern State Community College in the first week of the season. That's what it feels like at this point. So, if you want to win money, bet against the Giants.
Well, yeah, the new Survivor. Yeah, everybody who didn't get knocked out by picking the Bengals to beat the Patriots of their Survivor pools. You've got whoever plays the Giants, whoever plays the Panthers. You can roll pretty far in your Survivor pool just by picking that.
I
All
agree.
right. Speaking of teams that you kind of want to pick against, the Las Vegas Raiders rolled into Los Angeles, and they look bad. This week,
Oh,
I bet they'll look even worse.
oh, and me and Kyle don't, see eye to eye on everything in the AFC West. But the one thing we do see eye to eye on is I hate the Raiders. The Raiders suck, dude. And anytime that the Raiders are doing bad is a time that I find at least a little bit of happiness in my life. Because no matter how bad the Broncos will be, they will never be in black and silver, and thank God for that. Am I right? Baltimore Ravens, I think, is going to be hopefully just the one-way SmackDown that I and Kyle are both hoping for. I mean, that's the only reason to have this TV or to have this game on the TV is to see how badly the Raiders lose. Personally, I'm going to play it up to 13.5 because I think that Baltimore can find a two touchdown lead easy on this Raiders team. Minshew was, slinging it, also had an interception, did not look necessarily great. Run game for the Raiders was nowhere to be seen, and the Ravens were battling in what was an absolute banger of a first game of the season. They are, like what Pat said, should have worn the white cleats. Because if so, I think we would have probably gone to overtime. That was such a great game. It literally shows that it's a game of inches. Uh, expect them to be hungry and to be angry and ready to show what they can do. I love
Yeah.
the Ravens by a mile.
Well, the Ravens were the best team in the NFL last year with 14 wins. And I think from last week, we can see they did not take a step back this offseason. This is still one of the best teams in the league. They now have 3 extra days of rest that the Raiders don't have. They're going to be pissed off because they nearly got the win in Arrowhead. They're going to take out their frustrations on the Raiders. This is, I had a rough day at work. I'm going to hop online and play video games with my, 7-year-old nephew and just beat the tar out of him to make myself feel better. That is what the Ravens are going to do to the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah, I mean, we saw the way the Chargers ran all over the Raiders. Well, who loves to run the football more than the Ravens? Nobody. They're going to, Derrick Henry is going to feast. Lamar Jackson is going to feast. This is going to be the butt kicking of the week for sure. I'm all over the Ravens.
Have you guys seen the Cardale Jones thing, where he went and visited a kid in the hospital and he beat him in Madden like 91 to 30 or something like
I
that?
did not see that.
That's what this feels like here. It's like Cardale Jones going to meet this kid in the hospital and whoop him in Madden. And my prop is from this game specifically because of how much I think the Raiders are going to whoop on this. They let up a ridiculous amount of rushing yards to J.K. Dobbins on 10 carries. And you know that with how far they're going to be ahead, the Baltimore carries are going to be a step above. And 80, I could almost, see 100 rushing yards from both Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. But I'm very confident in the 80 plus. And plus 400 for this kind of game, I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I was, after you sent me your prop, I looked up what the scale is. And so you start getting into plus money at 60 yards. You get plus 150 at 60 yards, plus 255 at 70, plus the 400 at 80 yards. At 100 yards, it's plus 1,000. And so my only concern is that the Ravens get up so big that they're not going to risk running Lamar Jackson. That Lamar Jackson's going to the offense is going to get conservative, but in that first half, you're going to have Jackson. I mean, the Chiefs have a very good defense, and Jackson found all kinds of lanes to run in. I think that against the Raiders, he's gonna have the same success. That especially in that first half, yeah, he's going to be all over the place.
He could find it in 2. I mean,
yeah,
like honestly.
He absolutely could get it to 80 yards by halftime. There's no question about it. I mean, it is the Raiders. All right. Deshaun Watson is bad as a human. He's bad as a football player. And maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars aren't so bad. What do we think?
Oh man, I know. So we locked this in, and then I was like, oh, they battled with a good Miami Dolphins team, and then tonight, like we said, we're recording it on Thursday. Wow, the Dolphins did not look like the fighting team like I thought they might be. So who knows if this logic is actually going to be as sound as I thought it was when I locked this in here. But let me tell I just don't have faith in this Cleveland Browns team in general. As long as Watson's at the helm, I don't think that anything good can happen for them. And I think that is what they call karma. But also, I mean, like 24 for 45, 169, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Oof, that is not a great performance. Especially when you basically, it's not what the Broncos gave up for Russell Wilson, but damn near close at the time for what it was. That was a blockbuster trade, and they have got nothing but hurt. And I just don't see it happening. They keep trying to force the Deshaun Watson era in Cleveland. I think it is just a matter of time until he is done for the season, and they try and convince some other old head to come in and save the day. But
roll with Jameis Winston. Just let Winston.
Honestly,
play.
Honestly, he could, and I think he probably would be a better quarterback for them.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, dude, he may be just a tiny bit more competent. I'm not actually 100% sure.
Well,
but
all he did was shoplift some crab legs. I mean, as in terms of a human being, he's like a pope compared to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. But so basically, as long as Watson's under center in Cleveland, I'm gonna be betting against him. I just don't think that they're ever gonna really find success. I would feel much more comfortable if this was 2.5. I would love. When I play it personally, I probably will go out there and buy myself that point. Just because I'm not that sold on Jacksonville. Yeah. But at 3.5 here, I'm gonna lean Jags.
Well, the Jags were an Etienne fumble away from winning that game. I mean, they were going in to score. He fumbles it. Then the very next play is an 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill. So that big 14-point swing there is why the Dolphins were able to beat the Jaguars. Otherwise, Jacksonville goes into Miami and gets that upset. I think that there's still things to like about Jacksonville. And right now, while Cleveland's tackles are all banged up, they can't run the football. And obviously, as you just talked about, they can't pass the football either. So I just don't see why anybody would. There's no way to talk yourself into to betting on the Cleveland Browns. I just don't see it. So I'm going with the Jags.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Jags here too. Hopefully, you know, the prosecutors may have video evidence of what went down in 2020, but let's hope that all the video evidence of this game gets scrapped from the internet after Jacksonville wipes the floor with the Cleveland Browns at Trevor Bank Stadium. Yeah, that's happening, guys. You guys know about this?
No.
Oh, yeah. Everbank Stadium, week 1, they're putting a TR in front of it for Trevor Bank all over the
Oh
stadium.
my goodness. Well,
Yeah, and that's coming from Mr. Trevor Lawrence, 162 yards and a touchdown in week 1. So they have a whole lot of confidence in a draft bust. Yes,
did any of the guys who signed a giant offseason contract this year do anything on Sunday?
I mean, outside of Saquon.
Yeah, but the quarterbacks of the quarterback, they had like 5 different guys signed $50 million deals, and maybe Dak was all right. Dak, after he got his big payday, just like 30 minutes after he signed his contract, he went out there and played all right. But
he didn't have to do much.
He didn't. All right, Ben, Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, 3 weeks ago, this looked like this was going to be a pretty barn burner of a game, and then the Cincinnati Bengals decided to not play football at all.
Yeah, they looked completely discombobulated against what we consider to be one of the worst teams in football. And, I don't know if you could infer this and use the context clues by everything that we talk about on this podcast, but yeah, I may have had a little bit of money on the Bengals, and yeah, they may have been in a couple parlays, and yeah, they may have been the one leg that didn't hit. So yeah, I may be a tiny bit salty talking about the Cincinnati Bengals this week because God, they were the Bungles. Oh my goodness, I thought that was early 2000s. Is Marvin Lewis on the sideline? What's going on here? I'm so confused. What's going on with this Bengals team? Golly, Joe Burrow did not look great. Honestly, none of the team looked great. The score was 16-10 for the Patriots.
Yeah.
But honestly, it felt like the Patriots were kind of just owning them the whole time. Like there was no momentum for Cincinnati at any point in the game. As someone who had, like I said, was financially invested in this team, at no point after kickoff did I feel like maybe they were going to turn it around. It was a lost cause from go, and that is entirely too concerning for me to take to even think about betting for them when they're playing the defending world champions. What are we talking about? The Chiefs should make this a track meet. I just hope that those Bengal fans don't hurt their thumbs too much on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Or X, whatever they call it nowadays. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs -6. I'm gonna play it up to 10. Yeah, dude, go Chiefs Kingdom or whatever.
Well, this week the Bengals are talking all kinds of shit. Like you just lost to a team that's going to be picking, in the top 3. You had I forget the corner's name now. He's like Xavier Worthy. All he does is run straight lines. Okay, but he ran 2 of those straight lines right into the end zone last week. I mean, who cares who cares how weavy he is? Go straight line into the end zone. So what? And then Jamar Chase, we are definitely the team to beat in the AFC. You can't beat the New England Patriots. You're not the team to beat in the AFC. What are you talking about?
The team that got beat,
These teams are just like, look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't talk. The Chiefs just go out and win. And then Patrick Mahomes says, yeah, wear white cleats the next time. I mean, the Ravens got all salty. Now the Bengals are all salty. The Bengals have absolutely no reason, unless at least the Ravens have a championship pedigree. At least they were in the AFC championship game last year. The Bengals didn't make the playoffs last year. So stop your talking, get out there and try to win a football game. You're going to start 0-2. Now, 0-2 is not the end of the world, but at 0-2 and having lost to 2 AFC games, one of the teams that you think you're you think that you're the AFC team that actually can beat the Chiefs because you did it in the playoffs once. Well, that was 3 years ago now. A lot of time has passed, and no one cares a shit about that. Um, and I just get tired of teams talking like shit when I look over at your Super Bowl trophy case and it's bare. There's nothing in it. So just shut your trap and go out and try to win a game. So anyway,
Kyle
Chiefs.
defending the Chiefs and
Chiefs.
like
Well, I just look
crap
like
talking teams playing against them or talking smack about them
the
is
49ers
probably the highlights of this show consistently week after week.
well, because the 49ers don't talk shit. The 49ers don't talk shit.
We're good
Because
guys.
they can point over it. Look, we got all these Lombardis, and we play for Super Bowls. The Patriots, even though they're terrible right now, can point over it there. Look, we got all these Lombardis, so just back off. Steelers, we got these Lombardis. The Bengals, we got shit. We got jack shit. You got chili on fucking spaghetti that nobody likes. All right, that's it. Sorry. Please continue.
I have nothing to say. I mean, I think you really you took out everything I needed to say. KC
People in
minus
Southern
6.
Ohio, send your angry emails to Ben. He'll handle all that.
I'm prepared.
All right. Speaking of those New England Patriots, they get the Seattle Seahawks, and I really don't know how to feel about this game. Please help me, Ben.
I mean, do you want to be transported back to your youth, Kyle, when they were playing with the leather helmets and they would score like very few points? Because I think that's what this might become, dude.
Well, I want to see. I want to see Pete give it to Marshawn so we can do a redo of this particular Super Bowl, just to see how it goes.
Oh my goodness, this is the joy of week 2 NFL football is because the New England Patriots just embarrassed Cincinnati. Now Vegas has to pretend like they may actually be good, and we get an extra free line here. This is the free line. Go out there and slam it because this. Is, what are we talking about? 3.5. 3.5. See, did we even watch? Did we watch these games last week? Yes, Seattle had some miscues because who gives up 2 safeties and well, technically you gave one of the safeties away because it was a freaking hold in the end zone, and I promise you that doesn't happen again this season. Like that's a mistake you make once a career, dude. That's a Dan Orlovsky type of situation there. Okay, so like if you really think about it, they got all the you know the rust, the off-season rust out of the way first half against Denver, and I got to get my hopes up and pretend like it was going to be a game or whatever in the second half. But trust, they're still a great team, and the defense is solid. They are going to make a sputtering New England Patriots offense just have headaches all day. If they don't win by at least a touchdown, I'd be absolutely shocked. I love Seattle on this.
Yeah, week 1 point spreads are largely a guess because we don't have any idea really how these teams are going to play. Week 2 are often corrections, which is what we're seeing here. And yeah, I mean, Denver, for all of its faults, has a pretty good defense, and Seattle ran the ball really well against a good Broncos defense. There's no reason to think that Kenneth Walker can't go for another 100 yards against the Patriots. I know the Patriots defense looked good last week, but let's be honest, they're still missing their best players. They are not the defense from last year. And Jacoby Brissett could only get you so far. There's no playmakers on this Patriots defense or the Patriots offense other than Ramondre Stevenson. And so I can't see Seattle. I can't see this game being close. I can't see this game being a field goal. I think you're right on this. They overcorrected. They're pretending like New England is going to be a competitive team this year. They're not. They're going to still be a 4-win team at best, and the Seahawks are going to take care of business relatively easily.
Yeah, I feel like you guys took the words out of my mouth here. It's, I'm a New England regional guy. I'm around here. The buzz around that win was huge, and it was deservingly huge. Beating a team that is supposed to be that high profile, that's awesome. Good for you. Does not change the fact that you were going to be bottom of the barrel in the AFC this season. Or sorry, let me rephrase. Bottom of the barrel in the NFL this season. I think the Bengals are historically, probably over the last 3 years, one of the worst first 3 week teams in the league. So playing them in week one is it's not going to be. You're going to look at the end of the season, and there's going to be no comparison to the two teams. Um, but the Patriots, I did hear that their conditioning has been a lot more rigorous than a lot of other teams. And they, towards the end of the game, last game, they were they were yelling at the Bengals, yelling to each other, saying like send them to the hill because they do like hill conditioning and stuff. And they were cooking them, and they were still out had that gas in the tank. And that's I think that's the Gerard Mayo effect. Having all these guys riled up and juiced up to play some good defense and conditioned all the way through. And I think they're going to be competitive with some teams this year. I don't think it's going to translate into wins. You don't have the talent to make it into wins, but they're going to beat up on some teams a little bit and ruffle their feathers. And I think Seattle's going to be one of those teams. I think that I'd buy some points on this. -3.5 is such easy money, but I don't think that Seattle's going to win by a huge margin. I think it's going to be a good margin, just not enough to the point where you're going to think it's a blowout.
Thank you very much, Ben. Appreciate it. I will take that down. I will now take the big window, and we are going to start with my first game, the New Orleans Saints visiting the Dallas Cowboys. I am going to go with the underdog here to cover this spread. I do think that the Cowboys still win this game. They are by far the better team, but you've got a new play caller in New Orleans, and I think that just to have somebody competent back there calling plays made a big difference this last week. Now, obviously, they're playing the Panthers. We're not going to get too excited that all of a sudden the Saints are a contender, but they have some pretty good players on offense. Derek Carr looked pretty good with the new offense, and obviously they didn't even get much out of Chris Olave, and they still really torched him. Alvin Kamara is nice and healthy and looking great, and I think that they can keep this game close. The Cowboys will win. Dallas has the horses to make sure that they don't lose this game at home, but I can see this game being a 27-23 type of a game that keeps it close, 27-21. And so I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints to cover the 6.5 points.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this, actually. I obviously am going to take this with a huge grain of salt, the win last week against the Panthers. That's going to be reminiscent of a lot of Panthers games this season. But despite the fact that they were playing a JV high school football team, they still looked really solid and really put together. Some of the weapons that haven't been used effectively in the past are being used. Derek Carr has been accused of being a single-faceted player. He looked very good last week, reminiscent of his prime Raiders days, which I'm all for. I like Derek Carr's attitude. When he did the 3 on you, that was funny. That's the attitude I want from Derek Carr. That's the kind of guy. That's the Raiders mentality, and translating that into New Orleans is great. Plus 6.5, I like it. Dallas got too comfortable last week. I think this is going to be a close one, but Dallas is going to win it.
I'm not ready to jump on the car train yet, I don't think. But I do like what they're doing in New Orleans. I do like the play calling. They're spreading the ball. They're really figuring it out. They had 8 different dudes with receptions last week, which is an incredible number if you really think about it. No guy had over 5 receptions. That would be Kamara coming out of the backfield there. So, I mean, they're figuring out how to get it to multiple guys, and they're all figuring out how to play as a team. I think that in general, that's how you tend to have the most success in the NFL, is when you don't have to rely on just one dude. So this could be leading to some good things. However, I'm not ready to necessarily, set that all in stone yet. I mean, it is week 2 after all. With that being said, though, I do think that the Cowboys are going to feel awfully good about themselves, because that tends to be what the Cowboys do. So I expect the Saints to come in there and give them a little bit of a hassle. I like playing them at 6.5.
On a side note there, so obviously they just paid Dak. They paid CD not that long ago. They still got to pay Micah Parsons. And he's certainly going to be in the $32 to $34 million a year range. He's going to be asking for the right up there with CeeDee Lamb money.
Well,
So
Jerry Jones' retirement fund.
no, I mean, it's a good thing that they got Jerry Jones, because who else could do his job? Like, he's the only genius that could figure this one out there. So I can't wait to see what he cooks up. Let's go, Jerry.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that we were going to see Dak Prescott with the Raiders next year, but that's obviously now off the table. All right, big home opener here in Denver. The Believers are going to be all out at Mile High. The Pittsburgh Steelers come to town. The Steelers, man. So just watching T.J. Watt just annihilate the Atlanta Falcons on his own, he is primed for a Defensive Player of the Year season. He looked as fast and as strong as he's ever looked. He looked so good last week. I like this entire defense. I like the way the Steelers are built. We are going to be robbed of the Russell Wilson return to Denver because, I mean, do we think he's really hurt or he just doesn't want to play against the Broncos? I don't know. But sadly, he's not going to get the start against his old team. It's going to be Justin Fields. I still think even with their quarterback situation being as bad as it is, they're going to win this game because it's possible that Bo Nix is not going to break 20 yards passing this week because he barely did that against Seattle. And they've got to take the training wheels off. This is the guy you've entrusted to be your starting quarterback. Let him throw the ball beyond the line of scrimmage, Sean. Anyway, I just can't see the Broncos beating the Steelers. I think that the Steelers cover this spread. I think that Denver is probably going to score 13 or fewer points. And so I can see this game being a 20-10 kind of a game. Pittsburgh wins. I am rolling with the Steelers.
The only way they could convince me to watch this game is if they have a solo cam on TJ Watt for the entire game, mic'd up.
Just put a GoPro on his face mask and just let him go.
That would be awesome. Outside of that, this game is not gathering much of my attention. No disrespect to Ben, of course. I'd like to see Bo Nix play well, but against the Steelers and against TJ Watt, I have a really bad feeling that his lack of experience is going to get him sacked quite a few times and possibly set a single game franchise record for Mr. Watt here. Steelers -3. I don't really want to talk about it much more than that.
Yeah, Bo Nix is so freaking bad, dude. He's not bad. He's not. He's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Honestly, I don't feel as worried as I probably should be, but we'll call it just blind optimism because we can't go back right now. I will say this: there's some really troubling signs, like the fact that Bo Nix was the leading rusher last week for the Broncos. That's a little freaking concerning at 35 freaking yards. Yeah, that's terrifying. The fact that good players like Josh Reynolds and Courtland Sutton were dropping passes that their rookie quarterback very much needed them to catch to continue and extend drives and build some momentum. Yeah, that's freaking concerning as hell, especially when we keep stupid receivers like and I get that they're rookies. Like Vele, I'm sure could turn out, he looks promising, he could turn out to be something, but here's the thing, at the end of the day, you know who wouldn't drop those passes? Tim Patrick. You know how I know? Because he has 0 drops in his career. He's been a veteran. He's been a proven veteran. He's the one dude that catches everything that's thrown at him. And for some reason, you start to wonder why the second you cut him, there's a problem with dropping passes. What are we doing, Sean? Okay, I get it. You gotta be playing the 40 chess in your mind or whatever to convince yourself that you're the greatest coach to ever live and that they're soon going to be naming the video game franchise after you. I'm sure that's what you think is happening right now. But this is unacceptable. This is absolutely horrible because we're not even giving the kid a chance. We're not. You're making him sit back and throw it 42 times in his debut against one of the best defenses in the league. What are you doing? What are you doing? There's 0 common sense in this. It was an absolutely upsetting game. I have somehow convinced myself that the Broncos are going to win this game. I'm gonna be honest with you too, and I don't know how or why I'm doing that. I think it's because I'm a sucker and I paid for freaking NFL Sunday ticket last week, and now I'm being told that my quarterback isn't as good as I thought isn't a valid reason for a refund. So I don't know what to do, guys. I'm stuck here with freaking Sunday ticket, and I'm gonna have to sit here and pretend like it's hope. Do you know how miserable it is to pay $400 to watch out of market Bronco games? Okay, no, it's stupid. It was a bad investment. Here we are. I'm still riding the Broncos for some dumb reason, but goodness, next week, and you see me with some patches of hair missing, you know what happened.
Well, let me help you then pay for your NFL Sunday ticket because I've got a sack prop that I'm going to combine these three guys. Josh Hines Allen, he now goes by Hines Allen. All he has to do is get a half a sack against the Cleveland Browns. Browns tackles are all banged up. Deshaun Watson is terrible back there. He's going to get his half sack. I just need a sack out of Chris Jones against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, if you watched last week, Chris Jones, if it wasn't for the fact that Lamar Jackson has the best feet in the NFL, Jones would have had 4 or 5 sacks in that game. Joe Burrow does not have the same feet as Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow is going to get sacked by Chris Jones. And then to finish off my parlay, I just need 1 sack out of TJ Watt. TJ Watt had, well, he finished the game with 1 sack last week. He had 3. 2 of them were wiped off with penalties. He's going to have at least 2 this week against the Broncos. That pays for your NFL Sunday ticket right there. Those 3 guys, combine them into a sack parlay and just watch the defensive guys throw back their ears and rush the quarterback. Pay for your NFL Sunday ticket right there.
I love this. This is awesome. This is a really good bet.
That's fun.
All right.
That's fun.
Yeah. Moving on. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield, who the Cleveland Browns would certainly love to have Baker Mayfield right now. He did 4 touchdown passes in week 1. He's the only guy to get to 4 at the Detroit Lions, who also looked like the championship contender we all thought they would be. This is a playoff rematch from last year. And I think it's going to be a great game. I do think Detroit, though, is the better team. They have far more weapons, and they're going to repeat what they did last year and beat the Bucs. And I do think that they can beat them by more than a touchdown. I can see this game being 30-20 in favor of Detroit. So I'm going to roll with the Lions to cover that spread. But I don't think this is going to be an embarrassment for the Buccaneers. I think the Bucs play well. Baker Mayfield continues to play well. And there's going to be some fun out of Tampa Bay in this game, but ultimately the Lions are just too much for them.
I'm actually going to have to. I'm not going to plead no contest here, but I'm going to warn potential bettors. The Bucs can be good against good teams. They are consistently competitive. -7, it's a pretty big spread. I could see it tying. I could also see it being within 4 points. But I again see where Kyle's coming from. Erring on the side of caution, I do think that Detroit has a better chance of winning by that spread. But I don't think it's by that much. And if you don't have that much money in the bank account, you're trying to put a little bit on a bet, this wouldn't be the bet that I recommend. But it would be fun, and I am going to go with Detroit here.
A touchdown does seem like a lot here, but you know what? You know me. I'm a Detroit Lions enthusiast. This is what we do here. You know, we play the big spreads because that's what we do. It's going to be a fun one either way. Expect a lot of touchdowns. I don't know what the total is on that, but I would be eyeing the over, just seeing what that might be sitting at. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this one. It should be fun. Both teams have multiple ways to find the end zone. So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Should be a very good game. I was just going to try to see what the over is, but
I have it at 51.5 at most markets, and honestly,
okay.
I would play the over. I think at 51.5, that seems pretty doable.
You got 2 good offenses, a lot of good wide receivers. There's
Yeah.
no reason to think that they can't put that up. All right. Not going to spend a lot of time talking about this game because it's the Carolina Panthers. Los Angeles Chargers ran all over the Raiders. There's no reason to think that they will not run all over the Panthers. The fact that this is a less than a touchdown spread is why I am all over the Chargers. Maybe at 7.5, I give it a second thought. But at 6.5, I'm going Chargers. Panthers are a bad football team. They're going to pick first for the third year in a row.
Yeah, I already put money on this game. And I think the spread was better, too, for when I got to it. Actually, looking at it right now, it was only half a point better, but that's still half a point, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna rock with Chargers putting the whooping on the Panthers here with their 12 fans in the stadium.
DraftKings right now will give it to you at -4.5. I would go slam that instantly. The money line too is looking pretty juicy at -205 because that seems like a surefire deal. If you aren't necessarily out here feeling the spread, if that feels a little too risky for you, having that third element there, -205 for what is seemingly a done deal. Bet against the Panthers all year to make some money. I'm gonna go hit these lines as soon as we're done wrapping up. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm gonna be betting against the Panthers all year.
All right, our last game: Indianapolis Colts at the Green Bay Packers. Anthony Richardson versus Malik Willis. Now, Malik Willis does not deserve to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and worse, he's been with Green Bay for about 4 days. So this not only is he a terrible quarterback, he doesn't know this offense at all. So what are the Packers going to do offensively?
Josh Jacobs.
But they got nothing out of Josh Jacobs last week. I mean, he was I'm just not impressed by. This is your backup quarterback. Why they weren't on the phone with Ryan Tannehill? We Tommy, you and I had talked about Tannehill becoming the next Dolphins quarterback now that Tua seems to be out for a little bit. Why isn't Tannehill he's better than Malik Willis? Anyway,
he started over Malik Willis. He was just proven better. It's not like a hypothetical better.
Right.
He was ahead of Malik Willis on the same depth chart.
He is for sure better than Malik Willis. We have visual evidence of that. And so the Colts played the Texans really tough, and we know the Texans are one of the top 5 teams maybe in the NFL, certainly in the AFC. And so the Colts go into Green Bay. Packers have had that weird long trip to South America. They're back now without their starting quarterback, and I think that the Colts easily cover the spread. I think they win this game by a touchdown.
I agree. I don't think there's much else to say. Malik Willis is not very good. And historically, when you put in a backup quarterback and throw him into an offense, especially one that doesn't have any quality starting reps, Baker was different because he started before for plenty of games. So he can get into an offense and get that kind of rhythm with guys. Malik Willis hasn't had success in the league whatsoever. Yeah. Throwing him into this you're throwing him under fire. This is going to be like a Deshaun Kaiser 2.0. I know that's a reference you guys probably haven't heard in a while, but that's what I'm feeling right now, and I am concerned about it, but I do know that the Colts is very easy money.
You had Deshaun Kaiser on your drinking bingo card. Please enjoy.
I love this line. I think it's weird because I think that I looked at the line. I was like, are they even taking the Love injury into account? Because this is probably what I would have drawn it had Jordan Love still been playing. You know what I mean? I think it was going to be a close game. The fact that there's a market out there that's offering it at -2.5 right now is absolutely absurd. Go cash in on that. I won't tell you what it is, MGM. Go out there and make yourself some money. Hammer the Colts all day.
Well, you see on DraftKings, if you get the -3 on the Colts, you're only it's -105. Whereas if you're taking the +3 on the Packers, it's -115. So it's still, even at -3, your payoff is better than normal.
It's not even cold at Lambeau yet. What are they talking about?
I don't understand this.
What's going
on?
Get it.
I don't understand. Yeah, again, it's I don't know. The Colts, I thought, the Colts only lost to the Texans by 2. So anyway, those are our 16 games, everybody. We now are going to pick our best games of the weekend. Our favorite, our top dog, and our easy money line. Tommy, you were the big winner in our quiz, so you are going to pick first. Please tell me your favorite.
For my favorite, I'm going to rock with the New York Football Jets.
New York Jets, and they are giving 3.5 to the Tennessee Titans. Okay.
I'm giving that Indy to somebody else. I'm being a nice guy today.
All right, your top dog, please.
My top dog, I'm going +1 LA Rams.
LA Rams plus uno. All right. And your easy money line.
The easy money line, I am going to rock with Indy on this one.
The Indianapolis Colts are, they just had them up here. Where they
I got -141.
I've got -142, so we'll give you -141. Indy -141. All right. Ben, your favorite of the week.
Yeah, let's. Indy seems like it's too easy. I'm just gonna go Seattle. Tommy, don't look at me like that. You didn't want to pick Indy either.
Seattle
I did it for you. I gave you your pick.
3.5 at the New England Patriots. All right, your top dog.
Man, there is slim pickings on the dogs. It feels like on this one.
Yeah, we did pick a lot of favorites.
I'm gonna roll with Tampa Bay here.
Tampa Bay +7 against the Detroit Lions, and your easy money line.
I'm gonna take the only money line and plus odds that I feel comfortable taking. That would be the Rams. I got them at +102.
Are they really +102? Jeez.
Yep.
All right. All right. For me, my favorite is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers, giving 3 points to the Denver Broncos.
I'm sorry that you're gonna have to lose that one.
My top dog, I am going to go with the Atlanta Falcons, getting 6.5 against the Philadelphia Eagles. And my money line pick, I am going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let me just verify what their current.
I got them at -160.
I saw them at 148 earlier. Let me see if they're still there. Where are they? Why are they not showing up? Apologies for the delay. So they're 148 earlier in the day. They're now 162. To be fair, I will take them at 162.
I got them at 160 if you want those two.
I'll go 160 then. 160. I need a win because you guys both won your money lines last week and I did not. So I need to win. Get a little of that money back. Okay, so just to clarify and recap, Tommy's favorite is the New York Jets. They are giving 3.5 points to the Tennessee Titans. His top dog is the Los Angeles Rams, getting a point at the Arizona Cardinals. His easy money line is the Indianapolis Colts, paying -141 at the Green Bay Packers. Ben's favorite is the Seattle Seahawks. They are giving 3.5 points to the New England Patriots. His top dog is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are getting 7 points at the Detroit Lions. His easy money line is the Los Angeles Rams at +102 at the Cardinals. I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers as my favorite. They're giving 3 points to the Denver Broncos. The Atlanta Falcons are my top dog. They are getting 6.5 points at the Philadelphia Eagles. And my easy money line pick is the Jacksonville Jaguars -160, hosting the Cleveland Browns. That is our show for week 2. We appreciate you joining us. Obviously, as always, we hope that your time spent with us leads to big wins over the weekend. Big slate of football. And no buys for still a few more weeks. So we've got a full slate, 14 games on Sunday, and then one game on Monday night. On behalf of Tommy Burch in Springfield, Massachusetts, Ben O'Connell in Chicago, Illinois, I am Kyle Garlett in Denver, Colorado. Thanks for watching. Happy betting.
What the hell happened to Joe Burrow's hair? Dude, why does it look like that?